first, the Sony Xperia E3 versus the HTC One Mini 2 doesn't seem like a fair fight at all. The HTC is, after all, about £175 more expensive than the Sony. But while that's true, the actual differences between the phones are perhaps not quite what you think. There are some areas where the HTC is a lot better. For example, the storage on the E3 is a real problem at just 4GB. The One Mini 2 on the other hand has a more reasonable 16GB. The screen is another area where the HTC wins out. It has a 720x1280 panel while the E3 makes do with a 480x854 resolution. Both phones have the same size screen too, which means that the Sony is stretching fewer pixels across more area, which will give you a much less impressive image from the LCD screen. The camera on the HTC is a 13 megapixel effort. It's okay, but cameras are just not HTC's strong point. Sony has only a 5 megapixel camera too, so it is also a little bit deficient in the imaging stakes. But both shoot 1080p video and they have an LED flash. So far it's been a clear win for the HTC, but when you look at the hardware power on these handsets, things start to even up a bit. Both are Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 phones with 1.2 GHz quad-core processors running the show. There's 1GB of RAM on both of these handsets too. Neither device is going to set the world alight in terms of performance, but both will do a reasonable job with most applications. Both phones are 4G ready too, with support for 150MB per second downloads. This is increasingly important as 4G becomes more widespread in the UK. So it's quite clear that the HTC is the better phone in most areas, but the Xperia E3 can't be dismissed as it has many of the same specs as the One Mini 2. It's also much cheaper. While we think everyone would probably prefer the One Mini 2, we also understand that the price difference is significant. Sony's Xperia E3 will certainly suit those who don't live on their phones day in, day out. And for people who care about design and specs, the HTC is the handset to go for.